Kanye West is a huge fan of Donald Trump's. In fact, they met in 2016 and Kanye West just met with Trump again in the Oval Office. And he did so to discuss a number of political issues with Trump, including clemency and prison reform. Now, Kanye feels very passionately about clemency for an individual who's serving multiple life sentences in a supermax prison. His name is Larry Hoover, and I have more information about Larry Hoover in just a moment. But first, I want to toss to a video of Kanye discussing his clemency with Trump in the Oval Office. Take a look.
Mrs. Johnson, we got her out. She was very unfairly treated. And there are many other people like that.
Yeah, we got Larry Hoover's lawyer with us today, and it's a prisoner that we're focused on. He has 6 life sentences, and they have him next to the Unabomber. And really, the reason why they imprisoned him is because he started doing positive for the community. He started showing that he actually had power, that he wasn't just one of a monolithic voice, but he could wrap people around. So there's theories that there's infinite amounts of universe and there's alternate universe. So it's very important for me to get Hoover out because in an alternate universe, I am him. And I have to go and get him free because he was doing positive.
Yeah, so when I was watching that, I thought, well, okay. This is where we are. We're in an alternate universe. And yes, in the Oval Office, the president is talking to a guy about how we live in alternate universes and there are thousands of universes, et cetera. So look, it actually made me change my mind a little bit about Kanye. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm gonna let you finish in a second, dog, to myself. But Larry Hoover, of all the people in the world to ask for clemency or a pardon, you asked for Larry Hoover.
Right.
So we wondered, who the hell is Larry Hoover? Anna, who is he?
Yeah, so let me just preface this by saying that the issue of prison reform and granting clemency to people who have been given ridiculous sentences for nonviolent offenses, that's an issue that we feel passionately about. So I actually want to give Kanye credit for trying to raise awareness about this and talking to the president about this while he has his ear. But with that said, you're right, Cenk. Larry Hoover is a strange person to fight for and ask clemency for because back in 1973, he was given a life prison because he was, first of all, he formed something known as a super gang in Chicago. That means that there were more than 1,000 members in this gang. And he ordered the murder of a 19-year-old who was murdered. And as a result, he was given a life sentence for that. Now, while he was behind bars, he was still successfully running this giant drug trafficking ring. And so there was a 17-year federal investigation into this. And through that investigation, federal prosecutors found him guilty of conspiracy, extortion, money laundering, among other things. And so he was given additional life sentences as a result of what he was doing behind bars with this massive drug trafficking ring. So to ask for clemency for Larry Hoover is just strange, especially when you consider the Alice Johnsons of the world, right? She was given a life sentence on a nonviolent drug offense. It was her first time offense, criminal offense. And so I love that Kim Kardashian fought hard and got her released. Yeah,
so look, this get together was full of madness, well, unfortunately, literally. And there were some good parts to it that we're gonna show you in a little bit. And I like that he's fighting for prison reform, but apparently Larry Hoover is some sort of like legend in the rap community because he's considered like some sort of Scarface figure. Are you nuts? I mean, we did a story on someone who got a life sentence for smoking marijuana because it was their 3rd strike. A life sentence. We did a whole injustice series on so many different people who need that clemency. You've got an audience not only with the president, but you're surrounded by the press. You can get amazing attention to any one of those injustice stories, and you pick Larry Hoover because it's what some rappers care about him. I don't know, and I don't care about it. It's just a terrible, terrible choice, if you ask me. And what does it do? It squanders the goodwill of criminal justice reform because once people look into him and they go, oh, you want to get out this gangster? Oh, great. Okay, now I'm not interested in criminal justice reform. For Christ's sake, Kanye. Okay, and then alternate universes. Could that be an interesting metaphysical discussion in a different context? Maybe, but it is not the context of an Oval Office meeting with all the press and the president talking about how you might be Larry Hoover on a different planet. Again,
well,
Jesus Christ.
I think that point actually is not a bad point if you are referring to an individual who has been unjustly sentenced, right? And I'm sorry, but I disagree with his take on Larry Hoover.
I can find you 1,000 people you should rather talk about in that context.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But look, I'm gonna get to what I think of him in a second. Again, I'm gonna let myself finish in a sec. But let's go to the next conversation about Adidas. Adidas. All right, let's watch.
Right now, you gave me the heart to go to Adidas because at Adidas, when I went in 2015, we were a $14 billion company losing $2 billion a year. Now we have a $38 billion market cap. It's called the Yeezy effect. So I had the balls, because I had enough balls to put on this hat. I mean, this Adidas thing made me a billionaire, and I could have lost $200 million walking away from that deal.
No, peas in a pod. Me, money, 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 money. Why are you talking about your Adidas deal in the, like, Mike, if you're gonna fight for criminal justice reform, your wife did it right. Look, we're historically not big fans of Kim Kardashian, but we gave her all the credit in the world in this. She had enough sense to stick to the topic, but he's like, oh, cameras, it's all about me and how much money I made. No wonder Trump loves him, right? So I'm gonna keep going here because I wanna get to the conclusion. Why in the world did I change my mind on when I don't like Kanye at all? I've said in the past, I think he's one of the dumbest guys in the country. So let's take a look at the next clip here about how he apparently feels like a superhero, and get a load of why.
I love Hillary, I love everyone, right? But the campaign, I'm with her, just didn't make me feel as a guy that didn't get to see my dad all the time, like a guy that could play catch with his son. It was something about when I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman. You made a Superman, that's my favorite superhero. And you made a Superman cape for me also as a guy that looks up to you, looks up to Rap Lauren, looks up to American industry guys. Non-political, no bullshit. Put the beep on it, however you want to do it, 5 seconds delay, and just goes in and gets it done. What I need Saturday Night Live to improve on, or what I need the liberals to improve on is, if he don't look good, we don't look good. This is our president. He has to be the freshest, the flyest planes, the best factories, and we have to make our core be empowered. I love this guy right here. Let me give this guy a hug right here.
He called himself a crazy mother effer in the Oval Office. Imagine if someone in the music industry went and talked to Obama like this and used the language that he did, etc. What would Fox News be saying today? Made a disgrace out of the Oval Office.
The rapper Common was gonna go perform for the White House Poetry Night, and Fox News went crazy. Okay, the right wing went crazy. Look, I don't know. I'm just tired. I'm just tired. But that was a circus. That made no sense at all. I hear what he's saying about, hey, this is our president. We want to make sure he looks good because he represents the country. We want to make sure that he succeeds, right? I get that point. But he has consistently done things that has made this country the laughingstock of the world.
Yeah, but Kanye knows nothing. He's like Donald Trump. All he knows is himself. He's a clinical narcissist, just like Donald Trump is, etc. So let me get to what I thought was positive out of this and why I changed my mind on Kanye a little bit. So he did talk about stop and frisk. I wish he talked about it longer, but he spent the least amount of time on that. A reporter from Chicago had asked about it. Hey, is there anything you want to tell the president about the violence going on in Chicago? And he mentioned stop and frisk. Later realized that Trump is not in favor of his policy because one of the reporters pointed out, he's like, oh man, I didn't mean to insult you. Oh wow, profile and courage, okay. And then he talked about how black people are doing the wrong things to one another. So if he stuck with criminal justice reform and stop and frisk, and then he got back into the 13th Amendment, and look, Mike, Kanye, if you're gonna talk about the 13th Amendment, try to make a little bit of sense, but he can't. He constitutionally is not capable of it. So he's not trying to bring back slavery. I get it. He thinks that the 13th Amendment says, yes, but allows for prisons. So says, yeah, look, we're ending slavery, but we're still allowed to keep people in prisons if they've committed a crime. First of all, that like his argument doesn't make any sense. We should end all prisons? No, we should have criminal justice reform because he talked about, oh, prisons should be for murderers, rapists, etc. Hence, we should have prisons. And if you're gonna make that point, at least clarify you don't mean that we shouldn't have ended slavery. But he never clarifies that. He's so maddening. So look, my thesis, and what drove me crazy was that people call Kanye a genius. I mean, you just saw some of that. I mean, if you watched the whole thing, I was literally laughing out loud when I was watching it. And I didn't mean to, and by the end I felt bad about it. But that ain't no genius. And but I realized by the end, it's not that he's unintelligent, and it's not even that he means badly, although his narcissism is
out of control.
Out of control, right? But he does actually care about stop and frisk. He does actually care about criminal justice reform, I think in a really misdirected way, but he does care about it. He's not like Trump, who shows no empathy for any other human being. He actually shows a significant amount of empathy for other people. The problem is, he's clinical. He has actual mental health issues. In fact, he talked about it. I want to show you that.
I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was connected with a neuropsychologist that works with the athletes in the NBA and the NFL. And he looked at my brain. It's equal on 3 parts. I'm gonna go ahead, drop some bombs for you. 98 percentile IQ test. I had a 75 percentile of all human beings, but it was counting 8 numbers backwards after it was repeating. So I'm gonna work on that one. The other one's 98% Tesla, Freud. So he said that I actually wasn't bipolar. I had sleep deprivation, which could cause dementia 10 to 20 years from now, where I wouldn't even remember my son's name. So all this power that I got, and I'm taking my son to the Sox game and all that, I wouldn't be able to remember his name from a misdiagnosis.
I don't know if this is an offensive way of saying it, but he has literally lost his mind. I don't know if it's the bipolar thing. I don't know if it's the dementia caused by sleep deprivation. By the way, Trump also has sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation is no joke. And that's why Trump will tweet in the middle of the night, et cetera. And so he needs to get back on his medication. He needs real mental health. It's no joke, you can tell. I mean, it's like almost a cry for help. He makes no sense at all. And Trump often makes no sense at all. He's pathological in his lying, his narcissism. Trump is. But to me, so now I have a different point of view on Kanye. It was easy to make fun of him, and on this appearance, my God, we could have gone to town, right? So no, that's not the point. The point is the guy needs help. I think he's literally off his medication. You want to say, hey, Cenk, you're not a psychologist or a therapist. You can't do. No, look at him. He said it. The guy says he has bipolar disorder. He makes no sense.
So Kanye's mother passed away while she was undergoing surgery. And I feel like, at least from what I experienced, in his behavior, public behavior, there was a change. And I think that there is a cry for help. I think that he is struggling. Honestly, I don't really care about his political views. I think that what he's trying to do in regard to prison reform does show empathy. I think you're right. And I think I understand him a little better, given a little more context into what he's trying to accomplish. But he is acting erratically. And so I don't care if he supports Trump or not. I just want him to be able to communicate the very positive things that he wants to do effectively. And I think the way he's behaving publicly is actually counterproductive to these incredibly important causes.
I mean, look, on the one hand, I looked at that gathering and I was like, man, maybe we are on an alternate planet. And it looks like Idiocracy. I mean, if you watch the movie, it's a scene straight out of the movie. But the reality is, and the most disturbing part is, guys, about 40% of the country looks at those two and think, oh yeah, they nailed it. They're both really smart, they're geniuses, and they have it all figured out. So really, who's the crazy one? That's amazing that a huge percentage of the country looks at those two and thinks, oh yeah, Adidas and water is wet from the standpoint of water, and just like one insanity on top of another, and they think that's my leader. Wow, that's the state of the country right now.
But don't you think it's the culmination of decades of idolizing celebrities, right? Reality show celebrities, celebrities in the music world. Those have been, the individuals that we've put up on a pedestal in American culture for decades. So is it any surprise that there's a huge portion of the country that looks at them and thinks, yeah, they're definitely geniuses. They know better than us?
No, that is a huge part of it. Absolutely, Anna. But it didn't have to be these celebrities. And so there is something about them that people relate to, look up to. And so I think that's the saddest thing of all. And it doesn't have anything to do with those two guys. It's a country with 330 million people. We could have picked other people to idolize. And so for a significant percentage of this country to idolize those two means that we have collectively lost our minds. On the go? Don't worry, we got you covered. You can still listen to TYT at our new podcast network. Find us on Apple Podcasts, the Google Play Store, or at tyt.com/podcast.